Okay, everybody, today we are going to look at using a percent proportion to solve percent problems. Now, we talked about it last time. You just got off the chapter of doing work with proportions. We know that proportions are anytime we have two equivalent ratios. So if I say I have 3 dogs for every 4 cats, and somebody says, well, I've got 15 dogs for every 20 cats, even though they have more cats and dogs than I have, they say they have the same ratio of cats to dogs. And there are 2 ways we can verify that. One is to see, is there a constant that we multiply by to get from one of our fractions, our ratios shown as a fraction, to the other. And the second way is to use cross products. So our 3 times 20, 3 times 20, being equivalent to 4 times 15. And if you multiply 3 times 20, you get 60. And if you multiply 4 times 15, you get 60. So as long as those things are the same, the cross products are the same, or there is a constant value you multiply by, you know that your 2 different fractions, 2 different ratios, represent a proportion. So we're going to apply that specifically here to percentages. And here is the proportion that we use. The idea is the proportion of the part to the whole is equivalent to the proportion of the percent to 100. And you can see that they showed this with A for part, B for whole, P for percent. And they toss out some examples to us. So let's take a look at the first one of those examples. And they ask us, 12 is what percent of 32? So 12 is the part, 32 is the whole, and we set it up, 12 to 32. Here's the first ratio, equals P to 100. There's the second ratio. Together they make a proportion. We use cross products to get our answer. Here we're using cross products because there isn't an integer that you could multiply 32 by to equal 100. If this had been the ratio of what percent is 15 of 25, part to 100, in this case where 25 times 4 makes 100, you could have multiplied 15 times 4 to get 60, which would be 60%. All right, so would you go ahead and do 1A and 1B on these got it problems? Do those, pause the video, do those, and then come back and we'll discuss. All right, let's take a look at the first one at 1A. So 15 is what percent of 20? 15 was the part, 20 was the whole. And here's my work. 15 to 20 equals P to 100. I multiplied 15 times 100, and I multiplied 20 times P. That gave me 1500 equals 20P. 20 is the coefficient. We always divide by the coefficient. Here's my work. 1500 divided by 20, 75%. Now you might have done that one differently. You might have done that one by setting up, and let's do that really quickly. You might have set that one up this way. 15 to 20 equals P to 100. 20 times 5 makes 100. So as long as we multiply 15 times 5, we will get the same answer, and 15 times 5 is in fact 75. So whichever way we do it, the answer to 1A is 75%. All right, go ahead and do 1B if you haven't already. Pause the video and then come back to it. All right, let's take a look at 1B. So 1B, 100 is what percent of 25? 100 is actually the part this time. 25 is the whole. It's possible to have a part that's bigger than the whole. If you've ever opened up a package of crackers or potato chips or anything, where a serving size is, let's say, 12 ounces, and it's a 24-ounce bag, and it says serving size 12 ounces, number of servings in container 2. Well, if you eat that whole bag, you've eaten 200% of the single serving. All of the calorie information, the other dietary information is all based on that single serving. In this case, our 100 to 25 ratio equals P to 100. Since this was a comfortable number to use, and by comfortable I mean 25 goes into 100 evenly 4 times, I use this method. 25 times 4 is 100. 100 times 4 is 400. 100 is 400% of 25. And I'm putting all of the Got It problem answers into the website, a link on the website, so feel free to do some others if you'd like to. All right, let's go to the next page. Because it's not as easy as always just looking for the percent. Sometimes, like example 2, we're looking for the number, the part. So in example 2, this is the part. The part is the unknown now. We know the percent, we know the whole. It's the part that we don't know. And so you use the very same proportion. The setup is identical. It's just that this time the unknown is A. It's the part. We know the percent. We know the 15.5. And notice, whenever we know the percent, we change that to the number without the percent sign. We don't worry about that percent sign, but we do leave it like this. We don't change it to the full decimal value. We don't take the 15.5 and say, oh, that's 155 thousandths, because this 100 is also a percent. And then they walk you through how to do that. All right, so why don't you go ahead and try 2A. We'll discuss 2A on the video, and then the rest of them, the answers will be attached to the website. All right, and here's my work for A. So I set it up. A over 330 equals 11.4 over 100. So my cross products, A times 100, or 100 times A. 330 times 1.4. 100A equals 3,762. 100 is my coefficient. You can see the coefficient all the way back at this step. Whatever's in the cross product with the unknown is always the coefficient. Divide by the coefficient, 37.62. So 37.62 is 11.4% of 330. All right, let's go down one more example. And in this example, what's missing is the whole. So 778, that's the part, is 60% of what number? That's the whole. And again, the setup is identical. You're doing cross products, but this time the thing you don't know, the B, is the whole value. All right, and again, Got It problems will be sitting on the website, Got It problem answers. So, types of percent problems: find the percent, find the part, find the whole. That gives you sort of a layout of the language. And then finally, an example that deals with doing all of this in a word problem. All right, so that's your quick lesson. You've got independent problems to do. They're listed on the website. Should have time left in the period, maybe time left in the period to get them done. If not, I think you'll have plenty of time this weekend. Great, and remember, if you have any questions, bring them back to class.